First at 9, this Sunday the 20th of October 2024. Race against time. Udega Mampila's deadline for the president to release Easter attack reports end tomorrow. President vows to uncover the truth behind the attacks through a comprehensive investigation. Future growth. Sri Lanka must increase exports to India under the FTA. Focus on building a production-driven economy, says the Indian High Commissioner.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දෙනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
වැඩිම මනාපෙන් ජනතා තේරීම මෙවරත්.
සුදේශී ඔරිජිනල් කුහුඹම තමයි.
Crunchy goodness for hunger on the go.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to tonight's edition of Derana First at 9. I'm Tarindu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and from around the world. In your top story this evening, former parliamentarian and leader of Pivithiruhela Urumaya, Udega Mampila, vowed to publish the Special Investigative Committee reports on the 2019 Easter Sunday terror attacks if the president fails to release them by tomorrow morning. Meanwhile, several parties find the silence of the Catholic Church regarding the government's lack of transparency about the relevant reports to be problematic.
Of the two reports in question, one was led by retired Supreme Court Justice S.I. Imam, who was commissioned to examine the allegations made in the Channel 4 documentary that accused certain Sri Lankan intelligence agencies of being involved in the Easter Sunday terror attacks. The second report, chaired by retired Judge A.N.J. De Alves, focused on four specific aspects of intelligence operations concerning the attacks. Former MP Udega Mampila said on October 14th that both reports were handed over to former President Ranil Wickremesinghe but for unknown reasons were never made public.
The reports on the Easter Sunday attacks do not have missing pages, nor are they missing entirely. Even though the government, the Attorney General's Department or the Presidential Secretariat could not locate these reports, we have already received them. Therefore, if the President does not publish these two Presidential Investigation Committee reports regarding the Easter Sunday attacks within the next 7 days, we would like to warn the government that we will publish them.
Meanwhile, responding to former parliamentarian Udega Manpila's allegation that the government is concealing the Presidential Investigation Committee reports on the Easter Sunday attacks, Minister Vijitha Herath requested that the former MP submit the reports he allegedly possesses within 3 days. The minister also indicated that an investigation should be conducted into how Udega Manpila obtained these reports. Several political figures have responded to the issue by calling for the publication of the two reports.
There's a suspicion as to whether they are refusing to publish the reports to protect someone. Therefore, we request that the government publish the reports immediately.
There is a major issue. Both the Cardinal and Father Cyril Gamini are supporting the government in preventing Gamampila from publishing these reports. Instead of assisting him in getting the reports published, they are attempting to hide their contents by requesting a new inquiry.
සත්‍ය රට හමුවේ එළිදරව් කිරීම වසන් කරන්න නව පරීක්ෂණයක් ඉල්ලන බවක් අපිට පේන්නේ.
දැන් පාස්පීරද සිද්ධිය පිළිබඳව Former Director of the Criminal Investigation Department SSP Shani Abesekara and retired Senior Deputy Inspector General of Police Ravi Senratna have already made statements on this matter. Therefore, bring those responsible to justice. However, we regret to see the government challenging the right to expression by attempting to arrest an individual who has spoken out on this issue.
ඒක නිකන් මේ මෙතන අපි පරීක්ෂණයක් කරනවා. ඒ පරීක්ෂණය අනුව නියමිත ක්‍රියාමාර්ග ගන්නවා. එක එක්කෙනා ප්‍රසිද්ධ වෙන්න කරනේවට අපි උත්තර සපයන්නේ නැහැ.
දැන් කම්මපිල මහත්තයා බලන් ඉන්න අත්අඩංගුවට ගනී කියලා.
මම හිතන්නේ ඒ ගැන කතා කරන එක තේරුමක් නැහැ.
Meanwhile, former MP Udega Manpila said the deadline he set for President Anuradha Dissanayake to publish the reports will expire at 10 a.m. tomorrow.
The deadline I set for the President to publish the two reports ends at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Until then, he has the opportunity to fulfill his constitutional duty and prevent the risk of impeachment. If he fails to do so, I will publish the reports. We suspect that Father Cyril Gamini, who supported the incumbent president when he was seeking these reports as an MP, is now fearful of the general public discovering the truth or the fact that they have deceived the Catholic community by aligning with the NPP leadership. If we consider the risk of me being arrested under the Official Secret Act or the Counter-Terrorism Act, yes, there is a risk of receiving a 14-year prison sentence. However, we are prepared to face that risk for the sake of the public's right to know the truth. I have made preparations to publish these reports digitally, ensuring they can be released even if I am arrested.
නවීන තාක්ෂණය භාවිතා කරලා මේ වාර්තාව මම සිරගෙදර හිටියත් එළිදැක්වීමට සියලු විධිවිධාන සූදානම් කරලා තියෙන්නේ.
Horizon Campus 2024 Intake 2. Register now.
පිරිපුන් ජීවිතයකට ඔබ සමගින් පෙරට Union Assurance.
Welcome to Cinnamon Life, South Asia's biggest entertainment hub, where awe awaits.
කාගෙත් ප්‍රියතම මෙලිබන් බිස්කට් දැන් 30ක් සීනි අඩුවෙන් රස දන්න කාටත්
හරිෂෝ
Sadaharita Plantations Limited, celebrating 22 years of your trust.
Sri Lanka decides 2024.
Meanwhile, President Anura Dissanayake says the National People's Power will reveal the truth behind the 2019 Easter Sunday attacks through a comprehensive investigation. Addressing a NPP rally in Katunayake, the head of state added that the Inspector General of Police and the Criminal Investigation Department have already been instructed to investigate the situation.
A parliamentary election rally of the National People's Power was held in Katunayake this evening under the patronage of President Anura Dissanayake.
We assumed duties on the 24th with a small cabinet. Just after 25 days, we completely deviated from the culture of displaying vehicle parades. Isn't it good? Didn't we open the temple trees which was closed with barriers to the public? Isn't that good? Within 24 hours of assuming power, we resolved the visa issue. There was a long queue to obtain passports. Stocks of passports arrived yesterday and we will commence the distribution process tomorrow. By next week, there will be no queues to obtain passports.
We paid special attention to Easter Sunday massacre. We have transformed the police department into a state suitable to probe into the attack. However, the initiative caused panic among certain groups. Those who used the Easter Sunday attacks to gain power are now suddenly concerned about the attacks after 5 long years. Now they are asking for reports. Both are Ranil Wickremesinghe's reports. None of the reports were provided by investigative committees. They were provided to Ranil Wickremesinghe government. I questioned the former secretary to the president on what happened to those reports once I assumed office. He said one report was forwarded to the Attorney General's Department, to the Secretary to the Defence Ministry and to the Secretary to the Ministry of Public Security. The other report has been forwarded to the Attorney General, the Secretary to the Ministry of Public Security as well as the Cardinal. The reports have been forwarded to necessary parties. However, it was Ranil Wickremesinghe's intention to conceal this rather than directing these investigations into the correct path. Certain committees were formed with this intention. However, within a short period of time after coming into power, we instructed the Inspector General of Police and the Criminal Investigation Department to initiate a comprehensive investigation into the Easter Sunday attack. This is what caused those who were not interested in the attack back then to stir. They are suddenly concerned only with the intention of stopping our efforts and creating a different public opinion. Their interventions are not directed at finding the true perpetrators of the Easter attacks, but to shield the perpetrators. We will not let such efforts stop us. We will conduct a fair investigation and reveal the truth behind the attacks. What do we have to hide? Whom do we have to protect? It is they who are attempting to hide and save themselves. We, as the National People's Power, will not let them trick us, nor will we let them fool us.
Now leader and Gampaha district parliamentary candidate of Sarvajana Balaya, Dilip Javir, said his political movement is contesting the general election with the aim of establishing a strong opposition. Addressing a meeting in Horana, Javira emphasized that Sarvajana Balaya represents the revival of the revolution initiated by late Prime Minister SWRD Bandaranaike in 1956.
A meeting of Sarvajana Balaya aimed at the 2024 general election was held today in Galpatha in Horana with the participation of the Alliance's Kalutara district leader Roshan Ranasinghe and Alliance leader Dilip Jayavira.
Even though Honorable Kumara Disanayake was aiming for a landslide victory, only 5.6 million people voted for him. 11.5 million people voted against him. Let's help them to form a government. That is the most civilized thing to do. We wish them strength to do good to the country. When the national people's power is failing, we as the Sarvajana Balaya are ready to take the responsibility of the government. It is clear that Honorable Kumara Disanayake, a contemporary politician who was elected to the office of the president from rural background similar to myself, lacks a program. As an alliance that is planning to form a courageous opposition, we are not waiting until he falls. His failure means a failure of the country. The only solution for that is entrepreneurship. Sarvajana Balaya is the revival of the revolution launched by SWRD Bandaranaike in 1956. On behalf of Sri Lankans, we will rewrite history. We will end the political culture of protecting oneself.
Fast track your career from O-levels with eSoft.
කාගෙත් ප්‍රියතම මෙලිබන් බිස්කට් දැන් 30ක් සීනි අඩුවෙන් රස දන්න කාටත්
හරිෂෝ
දරුවන් ගැන ඒ තරම්ම හිතන නිසයි ලංකාවේ අම්මලා විශ්වාසයෙන් මෙලිබන් කිරිම දෙන්නේ.
After O-levels, start your Australian university degree in just 8 months with ACBT's Foundation Program. Enrollments close on 21st October. Call 071 115 1234 for Colombo or 077 011 3223 for Kandy.
Sarvajana Sandhane leader Sajith Premadasa is of the view that former President Ranil Wickremesinghe and his government squandered the opportunity to extend the grace period for Sri Lanka to recommence debt servicing. Addressing a meeting in Borelasgamuwa, Premadasa asserted former President Wickremesinghe made agreements to recommence payments by 2028 despite the International Monetary Fund being willing to extend the deadline by 5 years to 2033.
A meeting of supporters of Sarvajana Balaya and SJB-led Sarvajana Sandhane was held today in Borelasgamuwa under the patronage of party leader Sajith Premadasa.
Even though a president has been elected, the country has yet to emerge from bankruptcy. Our intention is to revive the nation. That is why we request that the citizens grant us a majority in parliament. One of the candidates who attempted to completely destroy our political journey has abandoned the general election and even the national list. The people who voted for his political camp have been cast adrift. A few days ago, he made a special statement. However, in that special statement, there was one fact that was concealed from the people. The IMF reiterated to the previous president and his government that it was sufficient for Sri Lanka to commence debt repayments by 2033. However, the previous president made agreements to commence debt repayments by 2028. The previous president and his government are the ones who squandered the opportunity to extend the grace period by another 5 years and commence debt repayments while providing relief to the people. And with that, here's a look at more political opinions expressed ahead of the parliamentary election.
142ක් NPP එකට දීපු මිනිස්සු මෙදාසරේ භාගයක්වත් දුන්නොත් පුදුමයි. මෙරට මිනිස්සු මෝඩයෝ නෙමෙයි. පැය 24න් හොරු වල්ලනවා කියපු ආණ්ඩුව හොරු වැල්ලුවේ නැත්තම් ආහාර වලට ගහලා තියෙන බදු ඉවත් කරනවා කියලා කියමින් නැවත ආහාර වලටත් බදු ගහනවා නම් මෙරට මිනිස්සු මෝඩයෝ නෙමෙයි. අnder කුමාරට නැවත බලය දෙන්න. සමගි ජන බලවේගයට නැවත මෙරටේ දේශපාලන බලය අත්පත් වෙනවා නියතයි.
සමගි ජන බලවේගය දැන් මේ හොම්බ බිම යන්නලා ඉන්නේ. සජිත් මහත්තයාට තියෙන්න ඕන මේකේ පොදු විපක්ෂයක් හදාගන්න. දැන් විපක්ෂයක් හදනවා වෙනුවට සජිත් මහත්තයා මොකද කරන්නේ අනිත් පැත්තේ හරි වටේම ඉන්නයට නෙලනවා පක්ෂයට නෙලනවා විපක්ෂයට නෙලනවා
ආණ්ඩු බලය ගන්න කොතරම්නම් වේදිකාවල ජනතාව රැවට්ටුවද අපිට ඕනේ මේ ආණ්ඩුව විනාශ කළා ජනතාවගේ බලාපොරොත්තු විනාශ කරන්න නෙමෙයි මේ මොහොතේ අපිට ඕනේ එඩිතර විපක්ෂයක් විදියට ශක්තිමත් විපක්ෂයක්
අනුරකුමාර ජනාධිපතිතුමාගේ ඒ දූෂණයට විරුද්ධව කරන වැඩපිළිවෙලට අපි සම්පූර්ණ සහයෝගය දෙනවා. මේ හොරු ඔක්කොම අල්ලලා මේ හොරුන්ව හිරේ දාලා යතුරු මූදට විසි කරන්න ඕනේ කියන එක තමයි අපි කියන්නේ. අපි ඒකට 100% සහයෝගයක් දෙනවා.
ඒකලු අපේ ටීම් එකක් නේ. තුන්දෙනයි වැඩේට බැස්සේ සලන් ගාලා වැඩේ යනවා. මේ ඔක්කොම වෙනස් කරගෙන එනකොට මේ වලට අපි ඇඟිල්ල දික් කරන්න දෙයක් නැහැ. ඒක පොඩි තිල්ලර කාරණා අල්ලගෙන බඩ ගහන්න පටන් ගන්න තියෙනවා.
ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ මහත්මයා නම් අවුරුදු දෙකමාරක් කරලා එතුමා පැත්තකට බැහැලා යන්න ගියා. නමුත් දැන් මේ තියෙන තත්ත්වය අනුව සති 3ක් ඇතුළතම මේ ගොඩනැගීමේ පැවතෙන ජනතා ප්‍රසාදය මත තව කොපමණ දුරක්ද මේ ගමන යන්න පුළුවන් කියන එක ගැන සමාජයේ සංවාදයක් ඇති වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒක රටේ දේශපාලන ස්ථාවරත්වයට ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
මාස 3-4කට පස්සේ ආයිත් අමාරු තත්ත්වයක් එනවා. රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ මැතිතුමා එළියේ ඉඳන් බලාගෙන ඉන්නවා. අවශ්‍ය වෙලාවේ සේවයට කැඳවනතුරු මනෝෂ නායකකාරලා රමේෂ් පතිරණලා පුළුවන් තරම් වැඩි පිරිසක් පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ඇතුලේ ඉන්න ඕනේ. ඒ වෙලාවට සේවය කරන්න.
අනුරකුමාර දිසානායක ජනාධිපති සහෝදරයා අමතිවරණ ව්‍යාපාරයේදී කිව්වා මේ ගහන කතරෙන් ජනාධිපතිවරයෙක් හිටපු කෙනෙක් ගෙදර යන එක විතරක් නෙමෙයි. එයාලා වටා හිටපු රොත්ත බුරුත්ත ඒ සියල්ලම හොදලා අතුගාලව දානව කෙනෙක් තාම එදා ලස්සනට කිව්වා. අන්නේ මේ වැඩේ දැන් සිද්ධ වෙලා තියෙනවා. දුසිම් 6කට විතර ප්‍රමාණයක් දැන් ඉල්ලන්නේ නැහැ. ඔය බෙදිච්ච කණ්ඩ කෑලි වලට කැඩිච්ච අය නෙමෙයි. එකමුතුකමේ ඉන්න ගජමුතු වගේ බේරගත්ත මාලිමාවේ අය තමයි දැන් රටේ ජනතාව පිළි අරගෙන තියෙන්නේ.
දැන් අද මාලිමාවේ දාලා තියෙන ලයිස්තු රාමල් කරුණාරත්න මහත්තයා ඉන්නේ 1000 දෙනාගේ. ඒක 1000 දෙනා කවුද කියලා කවුරුත් දන්නේ. නියෝජිත ප්‍රජාතන්ත්‍රවාදයේ හැටියට මෙරටේ ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන් තමයි අපි නියෝජිතෙක් යවන්නේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ. දේශම මම ඔබට කියනවා මේ මැතිවරණයේදී ඔබත් එක්ක කටයුතු කරපු දුකේදී සැපේදී හිටපු මන්ත්‍රීතුමන්ලා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට යවන්න අවශ්‍ය පියවර ගන්න.
Sri Lanka decides 2024.
Welcome back. Indian High Commissioner in Colombo, Santosh Jha, is of the view that Sri Lanka has to enhance its production capacity through more investments and export more products to India under the free trade agreement in order to reap its benefits. He made these comments while addressing an event organised by the Sri Lanka India Society to commemorate the 78th Independence Day of India.
We all know that India has traditionally been the largest trade partner. Often people say that we are the largest exporter to Sri Lanka, and Sri Lanka is not the largest exporter to India. And as a result, there is a big deficit that is there, which is real. I mean, there is no doubt about it that one needs to work to create more opportunities for Sri Lankan exports. And that is where the opportunities will be created in Sri Lanka for more investment, creating production capacities becomes very important. The fact that this has not happened sufficiently is the reason behind the deficit that you have. You cannot blame the free trade agreement for it. The free trade agreement has been very, very generous. Sri Lanka is the only country which has an FTA with India with almost 99% of tariff lines and zero duty. In turn, Sri Lanka only opens up 85% of its tariff lines. Sri Lanka's economy is about 1/50th of the size of India, while the exports are 1/5 of India's exports to Sri Lanka. If you look at the capacity of the economy, there is very, very big differential in the capacity. And yet the differential in the exports from India and exports from Sri Lanka to one another is not very, very large. And frankly speaking, Sri Lanka's exports to India used to be about $50 million at the time when you had the FTA enforced in 2000. Today it is $1.1 or $1.2 billion. Now imagine going from 50 to that. And the fact that 70% of the exports that Sri Lanka makes to India are benefiting from the FTA. While on the other hand, India only utilizes 5% of its exports for FTA through the FTA route. So there is a tremendous benefit, in my opinion, backed by the facts, and sometimes the hearsay tends to be very different, and the concern about deficit is something that is genuine and we need to address it. But at the same time, Sri Lanka has to look at creating investment opportunities and creating the kind of production economy that I think the new leadership in Sri Lanka is looking forward to.
The Finance Ministry says several risks could lead to underperformance of annual budget estimates despite the prevailing favourable conditions. In its pre-election budget report, the ministry highlighted concerns of a possible slowdown in global growth driven by geopolitical tensions in the Middle East and elevated commodity prices, especially petroleum. These factors could negatively impact import costs, domestic consumer prices, production expenses and overall budget expenditure. Impediments and delays in administration and procurement processes were also mentioned. Furthermore, the ministry pointed out that increasing recurrent expenditure due to developments in domestic and global inflation poses a potential risk. The combined effect of these factors could slow revenue generation and implementation of development activities. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Other Derana First at 9. Stay in touch with the latest developments around the world at www.otherderana.lk. Thank you for joining and have a good night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit otherderana.lk.